Thank you.
This season's definitely going to be hitting home for viewers, no question. Addressing today's most disturbing, horrific political and social issues. How does your character evolve, change from previous seasons, if at all, in addressing these issues like COVID, Black Lives Matter, police brutality in the show itself?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And what I love about season 5 is, first and foremost, we had an entire season 5 written and ready to go. And we shot that first episode in the beginning of March. And then because of COVID, the plug was pulled.
Oh, wow.
And so when the plug was pulled and we had to sit out for 6 months while they figured out how to come back safely, Ava DuVernay, who, if you know her work, you know how socially conscious she is.
Sure.
So Ava took an entire season that was already ready to go, and she put it on the shelf and wrote a brand new season. She and the writing team wrote a brand new season that dovetailed into everything that we were dealing with, which makes it so incredibly, relevant. And so what I love about Aunt Vi and and Hollywood, or Aunt Vi's household, is that indeed every single issue that faces this country was being experienced and responded to by our characters.
Sure.
And the thing that I appreciate about it through the eyes of Aunt Vi is the fatigue of it all. Yes, the resilience, the resilience is there, but the resilience is even more exciting and applauded because of the being with all of the issues
Sure.
that came with not just COVID, but that early part of, 2020, George Floyd,
Yep.
Breonna Taylor, just over and over and over again. And being tired. And I think that there's so many Americans, and probably people of the world, but so many people are tired.
Yes. And
to actually be present to that, I think, is an incredible, it's incredibly relevant in a subtle but very important way. And Vi and Hollywood, they have to, in the midst of all that they've been through the previous seasons, thinking that they had, finally gotten to a particular place, both, in terms of their businesses and,
right.
And in terms of their relationship, to be in a place where they have to figure it out all over again.
In real time. It's real time storytelling. And it's never really been done before, especially alongside a global pandemic. That was a good. Let's have you step out of character for a second.
Okay.
The work that you've done on this film over the course of the past 5 seasons, has it been emotionally draining, tolling, weighing on perhaps maybe your own mental health, or maybe has it hit you in a way to where you've had to figure out how to compartmentalize and separate your character from the real life. I guess
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
that's a really good question, Andrew. And there are times when you feel uniquely designed for a moment. And I actually feel rather uniquely designed for the moments that we are in right this moment. Because, first off, as an actress, I will say that as an actress, um, I believe that my role, my opportunity, the thing that juices me as an actress is the ability to have such empathy within myself that I can stand before any character's life that says yes to me, because I believe it's a partnership.
Sure.
Any character's life that says yes to me, and be available for her truth. And so I am really happy that even though we live in this never let them see you sweat society, and even though our society is not great at telling the truth, I am really happy that I am present and available to these times, because if I show up telling an emotional truth, it really does give the audience, gives the viewer ability to breathe.
Sure.
I'm really clear about that. And so it's an honor to be able to show up for the truth, for the fatigue, for the whatever it is. And for me, the separation is that I am not a method actor, so I don't have to use my life. I just have to be connected to humanity,
I like that.
But also in my life, I am very, very involved with um, well-being. I don't, some people would put it under the umbrella of mental health, and it is, but I'm really, really focused on the practices of well-being. And so I am so practiced, because this has been a focus and a passion for decades now. I am so practiced in these ways that I am clear, and I can create a separation between the reality out there and my personal beliefs and reality. I guess I could just succinctly say that one of my beliefs around well-being is that we must begin to see ourselves as more than the circumstances we face.
That's
And when we,
yeah.
yeah, and when we can do that, there is a power that we have just from that embodied idea.
You need to be on stage as much as possible doing motivational speaking for my generation. I can tell you that we need it. We need more individuals like you who understand that, who are, as you say, connected to and with humanity. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
With what's happening, you know, it's a big responsibility, everything you just described. Not everybody has that ability to recognize that truth of being able to disconnect from your time portraying these roles and then coming home at the end of the day. But as you say, as long as you're connected with humanity, that's all you need in this type of scenario. It's a big responsibility, and I think if anyone were to teach that or resemble that, I mean that's you, definitely, definitely you.
I will actually speak to Aunt Vi with regards to that for a
Please.
moment, because I really feel that season 4, which was just an exquisite season because of the kinds of things that we're talking about. You know, what our what we don't know. I don't want to say our country.
Sure.
I'm talking about the people within the country. I'm talking about, humanity. And what we don't know, what we aren't taught, what isn't taught to us, so that we can begin to think about these ideas and see where we are with them, is that how we respond to life is absolutely based upon how we feel about ourselves and all of the beliefs that are tucked inside of that. And it wasn't until Aunt Vi in season 4 was able to confront her demons and fears and see that she was more than the story that had been told, that she was able to step up to that and then move past it. So, I think that that's one of the things that Queen Sugar does at a obvious and subliminal level, is that yes, all of these circumstances face us in this series and in life.
Absolutely, it does.
And yet, how you feel connected, whether that's to family, whether that's to beliefs, how you feel connected to something greater is where you get the power to stand up to the things that are going on.
Very much so. And I guess to add on briefly to that, what would you consider to be one of the more fulfilling aspects of Aunt Vi's character, of playing Aunt Vi? And at the same time, what do you consider to be challenging, if anything, about playing that role, about bringing her to life?
Yeah. Oh, that's such great questions.
Thank you.
So, um, what what I love about playing Aunt Vi is, prior to Queen Sugar, I had racked my brain, and if you can come up with a show and a character that is represents what Aunt Vi represents. Prior to Aunt Vi, I so want to hear it. But prior to Aunt Vi, women in general, and particularly women of color,
Yep.
if you were over 50, definitely 55, and oh my God, over 60, you have not seen yourself on television as a full human being, as a human being who is vivacious, sexual, along with being very connected and rooted in a loving relationship with wants, dreams, desires, and flaws. Usually you get this little piece of a character,
Yep.
right? A little sliver of who someone is. And so Aunt Vi has been this incredible gift of being able to represent for so many women on a wide spectrum
Yep.
the ability for them to see themselves as they are.
It's layers. It's like kind of like shedding the skin, but going through layer after layer, through each episode, each season of that character.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I'll tell you that, again, in my passionate work outside of my passion for acting, um, I have this opportunity right this moment that I'm working with a family of 12 aunties, all over the age of 60. And when the email came in, what was said was by this young girl who is, I guess, the niece of these aunties. I see every one of my aunties in you, in Aunt Vi. And that's the beauty. So you ask me what I love. I love that she is a place where such a diverse a group of women get to see themselves. What is challenging, I don't have a challenge with it,
Incredible.
Yeah, because as an actress, I love the work, and I love her difficulties give me an opportunity to live in my craft, So here's the thing that's the most difficult. Here's the thing that's the most difficult. We shoot in New Orleans. New Orleans is a beautiful city. I don't like the food. I'm a foodie. I'm a
Oh my
foodie.
gosh.
And I don't like New Orleans food. I don't really like seafood. And I don't really do fried. And I don't really like white sauce.
Oh God, you have everything. Oh my God. Yeah. That'll do it. That will do it.
Yes. But that's just not a good thing. It's
Right.
not a smart thing.
Absolutely. For season 5, do you have any particular episode or episodes that you feel if there are any new viewers that for whatever reason they've heard about season 5, they haven't seen the others, they come in, is there any particular episode that you would highlight or recommend that viewers start or fans even start or pay more attention to, I guess, as opposed to any other? I don't know if that's a loaded.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I'm going to say, Queen Sugar is the kind of show that if you watch one episode, you're going to want to watch another.
Yep.
And I think that what is interesting about season 5 is that just on the back end, we usually do 13 episodes. The pandemic hit, and that went to 10. The 10 that were already, or the episodes that were already written, right? We now had to tell compelling stories in real time, really fast.
Yep.
So that means that those 10 episodes are packed
with
a lot of stuff. And so I believe that any place that you step into season 5, you're going to want to, you're going to want to experience the whole thing.
That is a great way to market the season. That was perfect. That's one way to get people to go all the way back and not just jump. No, but I agree with you 100%. Whether it's parents, youth, whether they're Black or brown, law enforcement, health workers on the front lines, educators, what do you hope viewers take away from either this season or just the show as a whole? Because I think there's something to say about, depending on what industry you're in, particularly education right now. What would you hope that viewers take away this season?
Feeling, again, this season is so brilliant because it parallels our society. And I think that one of the gifts from 2020 is that George Floyd allowed us all to tell ourselves a deeper truth. And I think that Queen Sugar, through its characters and their honest, and sometimes flawed responses, telling yourself the truth, being with difficulty, and yet discovering that being with difficulty doesn't kill you.
Yep.
Right? Then maybe we all can just tell ourselves a deeper truth, be with the difficulty, like breathe through it, show up for whatever, in whatever ways, whether that's with family, loved ones, community, whatever, but show up
Sure.
in a way that lets you breathe through it and discover our innate resilience. I think that's season 5.
And as a young attorney myself, going through law school and learning about the evolution of our laws, okay, 13th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act, and how we are taught that slavery ended, racism ended with these two pieces of legislation. It never did. It evolved, and it was disguised underneath technology, underneath Silicon Valley's large, companies, and what we're seeing. What obstacles? I know you've shared bits and pieces in your book, which I'll briefly talk about. But throughout your career, what obstacles have you yourself had to overcome, if any, that also shed light on some of these issues today, the gender inequality, the systemic racism, but also systemic injustice?
Yeah. You cannot be a person of color in this country and not have an intimate relationship with inequity and injustice. It's impossible. And much like the borderlands, I was very blessed that my mother and my father both gave us the message in the midst of these circumstances.
Yeah.
Gave us the message that you can do anything you put your mind to.
My family did so. Yep.
And I think that those, regardless of race, those who are able to recognize the victimization without carrying the burden of being victims, that some measure, some slice of that messaging was given to them. And so it's really important that we realize that that's not just a fluke. If that made a difference in your life, and it made a difference in my life, and it made a difference in, the lives of my friends, then there is something in that concept. There is something in that teaching. And so the power comes from, and I think that we're actually seeing it. There, in terms of people of color, there's so many of us who are educated now. And with that education, being able to stand up to see through, challenge, and be in positions of power to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
That can be tiring, but it also is quite an honor when you think about, life being pulled forward, the burden we carry when we buy into the lies that come with our childhood, or just any lie at any time. And a lie is defined as any person, experience, or event that leaves us, that impacts us in such a way that leaves us feeling less than, not good enough, separated from our deeper inner self or afraid to get to know ourselves. And so those lies show up as, words coming out of a teacher's mouth, show up as abuse within a family, show up as all kinds of fears. But underneath that, there is a separation from your capital S self that leaves one feeling not good enough, that leaves one feeling innately at risk in the world. And when you ingest a lie, it becomes a part of you. And you react and you think in accordance with the lie.
It's a confirmation bias of sorts, more personalized, but yes.
Absolutely. And so the work of inner fitness is literally, it is the inverse of physical fitness. I am saying that our inner fitness, attending to first recognizing that there is an inner self and that inner self requires attention. That's the beginning. And then building the kind of awareness and then the practices that allows us to give that inner self the kind of attention that it needs so that it is strong enough, it is resilient enough to stand up and maintain and even grow itself beyond the circumstances that we encounter. And so, physical fitness in 1934, no one was even talking about physical fitness until Jack LaLanne started that conversation. And now physical fitness, there's not a medical, an area in medicine that doesn't acknowledge the importance of physical fitness to wellness. But we all know that there's no cardiovascular exercise that helps us resolve our inner issues, our unresolved hurts, traumas, upsets, and disappointments. And so we must, use the model of physical fitness for our inner fitness and start to be aware of the internal practices that are necessary to build that inner strength and resilience.
I like that. And lastly, what message do you have for fans, viewers, whether it's with Queen Sugar, with any of the work that you've done over the years? If you had to speak to your fans right now on anything, what would you want them to know or to hear from you?
That if you want more from your life, whatever that means to you, then I would say 3 things. Number 1, start with the idea that no matter how challenging things have been up until now, from this point forward, they can be better. It's a really powerful way to think about the things that have been challenges and limitations.
Sure.
Number 2, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to just acknowledge where you are, wherever that is. No matter whether you feel like you've done things that are unforgivable or you've been in experiences that are, unforgivable or really, really challenging. You don't have to acknowledge it to another soul, but you to just say to yourself, this happened and this is how it made me feel, is an incredible way to open the door to more of yourself. And then, doggone it, make sure that you do what has been done throughout history, wherever humanity has moved forward. And that is, have a vision for your life.